From the art of the deal to keeping it real. Live from the Simply Vegas studios, it's The Power Move with John Gafford.
Back again. Sitting to the left, Colt, the scourge of Carpathia, Amidan.
Ooh, might be the best one yet.
Yeah, scourge of Carpathia. I like it, yeah.
Yet.
I mean, it's a strong nickname for you. As always, Chris Connell, Esquire.
How are you, sir?
I am your host, John Gafford, and we do have a special guest with us today. Special guest.
Yep, and thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I know, man.
This is awesome here.
Dude.
This is amazing. I was not expecting this.
Yeah, right, dude. This is not a low-rent podcast.
No, this is
top of the line.
this is serious business right here.
We used to do
it
this
in the bathroom.
Yeah, it used to be in the bathroom. At one point, it was in the back of Colt's car. That
Yep.
was a little suspect.
sketch.
But no.
I'm in the wrong business. I scare people for a living.
That's
I
it.
see these
I know.
plush offices
I know.
and stuff like that. I'm like, where did I go wrong?
I know, guys, we have got a unbelievable show for you today. We're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. Primarily, this is going to be a master class in licensing is how I like to look at this, because Jason, who's our guest today, and I'll let him tell what he does, has pulled off one of the best licensing deals that I've seen. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say licensing, it's where you take something that is a massively valuable commodity, a company, a brand, intellectual property, and you basically say, hi, this is who I am. I would like to be able to use this for my own bidding. And Jason has done this masterfully, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we get to what you do, Jason.
Before we get to what he
does.
is the Scourge of Carpathia?
The Scourge of Carpathia?
I think Jason might be able to.
Jason probably knows what this is.
In fact, I do believe you have a painting.
I have a Vigo, the Carpathian from Ghostbusters too.
Yes. The Scourge of Carpathia,
Colt
yes.
doesn't look anything like Vigo, but I mean,
You haven't seen me on my rough days.
but yeah, Vigo. Yeah.
I think it is. But I think there's a couple things we got to talk about before we talk about this. Because first of all, this is going to come out on Wednesday, so by now, I might be able to. But I will say this: I have never felt worse for an individual NFL football player than I did for Josh Allen on Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
That was just absolutely gut-wrenching.
It was such good football that Sean Payton quit today.
Yeah, I know. Well, we were going to talk about that too.
Never mind.
Yeah, Sean's like, let's look at my quarterback options for next year.
Okay, let's.
That just shows you can't get your emotions up until things are over.
Yeah.
Especially in business, right? Like people get all excited, oh, my paycheck, whatever, and it's going, and then deal falls apart. Same thing. Those guys, you saw people in the crowd crying, hugging.
Oh,
Did you see the stat?
I knew it wasn't
Did you
over.
see the stat that this is a pretty impressive stat? It took 13 seconds to do that last drive for
Dak Prescott
14 seconds to run one play was 14 seconds. Isn't that wild? That's a wild stat to think of.
Dak,
I thought you were going to say, do we feel bad for anybody other than me? My stocks have killed me the last 2 days. Oh,
okay. No, that was the shortest recession in the history of sessions yesterday. The Dow drops 1,000 points and it's back positive by the end of the day, which was
I bought the dip.
which
so
was
I'm okay.
he bought the dip. You're okay.
I bought one more share of win.
Yeah, now I'm at 2 shares.
2 shares of wins. What you got?
Yep.
2 shares of win. Did anybody see the hot mic thing with Biden yesterday? Or the other day? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that was,
Where he leans out and calls the guy a stupid son of a bitch on a hot mic. Calls it a
the
reporter
Fox.
that.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Fox.
The Fox guy.
Peter Ducey. Yeah,
Yeah,
Peter Ducey.
yep. Peter
that's
Ducey.
But then he called him later. Did you hear that though? After the fact, Biden did call Peter Ducey and said, apologized.
Yeah, it said, I mean to say you were a stupid son of a bitch on a hot mic.
I would have doubled down. If I was the president, he yelled
you're ugly
something.
too,
Yeah.
Not only are you a stupid son of a bitch, you're an ignorant bastard
ugly
too.
too.
You're ugly.
You're ugly. Yeah, you're ugly too. I mean, here's the thing. Every time Trump got on somebody, via Twitter, whatever else, he was a super bad guy. Are we just going now at this point that Joe Biden's like your cranky old grandpa that he's going to say inappropriate stuff at the dinner table and just let it go? Are we there?
I think mentally we just cut these guys off at 55.
That's it.
I don't need any more fucking guys over 65 running this country. I just don't.
No,
Here's
really.
the thing. Nuclear war affects them a lot less than me.
I know. I know. It's right
From an
there.
actuarial point of view, that
Yeah,
affects me
they don't-
infinitely more because I have kids that are,
No, he's right there to just telling people to get off the lawn.
off the
Right,
lawn,
you see
yeah.
that?
right in the middle of the press conference. It was
Russia
like that
keeps
close.
saying they want to nuke us. Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah.
What do we do, Russia?
Area 51. It's been out there for the last 2
Khabib
weeks.
lives here, I assume.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
wanna
Khabib
blow
lives
up
here.
our aliens?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, they want to go after the aliens. I don't know
Come on.
why. They're How awesome would it be? We should go try to get into Area 51 one
How
day.
far off of the licensing trade did this go off the rails?
No,
already?
we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're on
But
aliens,
Talking about
John.
aliens,
No,
aliens
no,
does,
these-
you know,
aliens right
it's a property I would want.
These are the important things we have to get to before we get to that stuff. But
Speaking
I mean,
of aliens, I watched a Tom Hanks movie the other day.
Oh.
My God.
What is
and it
with your
made me
hatred?
hate him more. It was Mr. Rogers movie. I'm like, this guy's not
wait,
real.
you
He's like-
hated him after the Mr. Rogers movie?
Yeah,
I feel about Mr. Rogers.
I can't
love
believe they licensed his name
Do you
to
like
that
Mr.
movie.
Rogers or do you hate Mr. Rogers?
I liked him till now. No, I hate him for no reason other than Tom.
What about Bob Ross? What about Steve
Bob
Irwin?
Race was awesome. But I love him. But
Okay.
if Tom Hanks played him, I'd probably hate him.
What about Tom Hanks in like The Burbs or like Big? You didn't
No,
not
he,
even like
no,
that?
he hates him.
Just
He hates him.
horrible. Across the board.
across the
He sees him.
Unreasonably.
Yeah, let's
disliked
okay. Let's
Tom
clear this up,
Hanks.
Jason. You know, Colt is a pod person. Let's go ahead and sum that up right now. He's a pod. That everything that is normal with everybody else is kind of the polar opposite with him, and it's just what he
What
does.
else do you hate, Colt? There was something else that you hated that literally blew my mind in half.
Oh, Star Wars, I've never seen it.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, I've
not,
never seen
not
that.
a
Not one.
single-
Somebody sent
Let's
me
catch
a
Jason
thing
up.
like surprisingly like, oh, look at this actor surprising people. I'm like, I don't get it. Who's that actor? I've never seen him. Star Wars guy. I don't know who
So
it is.
he goes on this show. He goes, you know how dumb they are in Star Wars? The guy's dressed in black, and they call him Darth Vader, not Dark Vader.
Yeah, went on for 10 minutes about Dark Vader.
What a horrible name.
Are you more
know
like
what?
a rom-com guy or?
I like Spaceballs. Watched that like a week
that's a
ago.
good one.
No, but
Yeah,
okay,
that's
but
fine.
speaking of people that don't know what the hell is going on, I don't know if you saw this. It's what I call a hard segue there. Did you see that Neil Young has threatened Spotify saying, if you don't get rid of Joe Rogan, you can't have my catalog on there.
That's stupid. Who's got a better?
How long do you think that's going to take before Spotify just hits delete on Neil Young?
I think me and like 40 other people would be the only ones mad about
Mad
it. 'Cause
about it.
I threw out my decades CDs, I think.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, when's the last time you when's the last time you reached for a Neil Young
All the
CD?
time.
Really?
Love Neil Young. I think he is just the needle and the damage done. And
Name some
I
songs
gotta tell you,
because I
this
can't think
this
of
segment
I
is
can't
not
think
going the
of-
way that I thought it would. And for the look of
Ohio,
Jason's face,
Old Man, Needle and the Damage Done.
No.
For the Turnstiles is one of the best songs.
Sorry.
I'm
Probably
going.
ever
I'm
made.
going
Did you
full
like
Tom
Neil?
Hanks on this. I hate the guy. I hate it.
Hate
Tom
it,
Hanks. I'm going
yeah.
Hanks on
Neil
it.
Young?
Full Tom Hanks on it.
we're
You
gonna
Not
can't
even
say-
that
This
young.
is like your bad opinion.
He's
on
not
Ferrari.
even
No, I can't.
young.
No, I can't. I can't take Neil Young, and I'll tell you why I hate him even worse. Is when Eddie Vedder decided to morph into him. That I hate him worse for
He's
that
so good that Eddie
than just
Vedder
for being him.
was excellent.
No.
Respects Neil
No,
Young.
it's dreadful, terrible.
Piece
Neil
of crap
Young.
with
Terrible.
Neil Young and Crazy Horse?
Yeah.
Terrible. All of it, garbage,
Just
horrible.
Couldn't name a song.
Horrible.
But it just shows you know your cards before you start negotiating a card like
You
that.
should
Because who are
probably-
you going to get rid of?
Yeah.
The number one Spotify person or
The
Neil
number one
Young,
podcast person
who isn't
period.
even young?
People need to get off
Change
Joe
your
Rogan's dick, though. Like, they really need to either listen to him and shut up, or, you know what I mean, or just have no opinion about it.
The numbers
Well,
don't
the-
lie, though, is the problem.
But the
If
problem,
you listen to him and you disagree with him, point out what you disagree with. Don't just say, I hate Joe Rogan because I heard that he took horse medicine one time. It's such an irrational backlash against Joe Rogan, who oftentimes has very interesting guests, very balanced. He doesn't say crazy right-wing shit. And people think he's this guy without listening to him. That's the problem.
it's because CNN and all them portray him that way
Yeah.
and make his filter him to look green on his stuff. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The original video. So, do you think you could go be an Olympian? We got 3 weeks of Olympics. I feel
I
like
don't
you
know if
could.
I want to.
Winter or otherwise.
Winter.
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk now? Since you've brought Jason into the conversation,
trying
why
to
don't
bring
we,
him in.
why don't we
Don't
guide
ask
him
Colt
back?
what he- don't ask Colt what he thinks a biathlon is.
Oh gosh, my neighbor's
not.
got plenty of
It's
biathlon.
not what you think it is, Colt. I don't think it's what you think it is. The pole vault is not part of that equestrian. Anyway, moving on, Jason. So let's talk about you, man. So for those of you who don't know, Jason, let's start with just what do you own here in town, here in Las Vegas? What do you own that is so interesting?
So, long story short, I started back I came to town about 2002. Started a haunted house, just a generic haunted house. I'd always loved doing haunted houses as I was a kid. And growing up, I'd build haunted houses out of couch cushions, in my backyard, whatever it took, to make a haunted house. So I did one, when I was going to college at University of Nebraska at Lincoln, and that became successful, but good old Lincoln, Nebraska wasn't big enough for me. So I loved Lincoln, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful city, but I wanted something big. So I looked at all the cities that didn't have any competition that I could actually come into and compete with. And Vegas was such a new, young city still at the time, 20 years ago. And I'm like, I'm going to come to Vegas and try this. There's only these haunted houses in these parking lots, in like Smith's parking lot, and trailers. I'm like, I can compete with this. So I did. 2002, I started a haunted house. It was successful. At the time, Mandalay Resort Group, aka Circus, approached me and they're like, hey, we have this big property.
So they came to you. You didn't go to them.
They came to me. They left this lady.
Where were you? Where were the haunted houses you were doing? They parking lot ones like the other ones?
No. I rented an old abandoned ballroom that had this murder in it on Highland Drive that was allegedly haunted. So I put it in this 10,000 square foot old abandoned ballroom, and the marketing lady at Circus, Pam Torres, came in and she gave her business card to my mom, working the ticket booth at the time, because I wanted it was all cash back then. You wanted, you put someone you trust in that ticket booth. Because, you could be walking out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a night, Wow. So, she hands a business card, and luckily I called, and Circus, we arranged a meeting. I went in there. They were intimidated as hell at my age because I was like 22 years old or something like that at the time. And
well, let's back up a little bit. How much money were you making in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
When you started this, like your first real haunted house, how old were you?
Probably. So real haunted house, I was 19, 20.
19?
19 and 20.
You did other stuff too, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
God,
yeah. I had started a party planning service when I was in high school. And that's really how I learned that Halloween would actually pay, because I was dressing up as costume characters to go to kids' birthday parties. And then one day a parent comes to me and they're like, hey, my son's got an October birthday, can you do anything? We'd like to set up a haunted house in the backyard. And I already been a big collector of Halloween shit in the, the first place. I had saved up from Spencer Gifts, bought all these props, this, that, and the other. So I'm like, hey, what's your budget? And they're like, my normal party was $49. And then I had an upscale party. It was like $89. So when I got the $89 a party, I was ecstatic. So the lady's like, my budget's $400. And I bought shit. And I'm like, $400. And I was like, I was in high school. $400, 20
like, this is big dollars, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is awesome. And so I'm like, heck yes. So we did the party. It turned out great. The next day, I swear half the parents from that party called me, and I'm like, oh shit, what did I do to their kids? Did I scare them to death? And they're like, we got to have a Halloween party. We got to have a haunted house party. And it's not my kid's birthday, but we got to have you have a haunted house party.
I thought you were going to say Touchy the Clown's not again. Come back again.
Feely the magician.
No, back in Nebraska, we don't get much of that.
No.
But yeah, so all the parents called. They're like, this is great. And that month in October, I had one of the most successful months I had ever had, because I was booking out all these $400 or $500 parties, and I was in shock, and I was making thousands of dollars that month. And my mom had always said, become an attorney. You got to become an attorney. And I was actually going to go in that direction, but now my mom's probably like, God, that was a smart move. Yeah, it was a smart move. You're doing better than most of your attorneys. Maybe not the great Chris Connell.
Connell law for all your days.
Yeah, maybe not that good, but I'm doing pretty good. I don't have a Bentley yet, but we're doing all right. So I came out to Vegas, got the business card, met with Circus. They were intimidated as hell because I was young. We put on a hell of an event. And it just grew and grew and grew over 15 years. And I was starting to do other projects and such. I mean, the event was just doing amazing. But then 2017 happens, and that Route 91 festival shooting happens.
Oh.
That thing happened on October 1st. My event opened on September 29th. Crushed the event. Crushed MGM. Don't know why MGM necessarily sold, but allegedly they sold to Phil Ruffin because they needed to free up some cash. And Circus was a good asset for Phil Ruffin, and they did not renew my contract, or we couldn't reach terms. So that was the end of that.
Did they stop doing Fright Dome? They don't do that anymore?
They can't do Fright Dome because I own Fright Dome.
Because you own Fright Dome.
I own the intellectual property Fright Dome. So even back then I was smart. I lined
licensed
it up.
It up.
I was smart with that, and I locked it all down. So will there ever be another Fright Dome? Probably. Are we backed up to holy hell on projects? Absolutely. So we've got it in the queue right now.
Yeah, slow down, Jason.
But here's the thing. I figure you only live once, and you know what I mean? And I'm getting older now. I want to do absolutely everything I possibly can while I'm on this earth, to put my stamp and say I actually did something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did something here. I created, arguably one of the best Halloween events in the world for 15 years, and, moving on to IP, now that
Was this before like Halloween Horror Nights and stuff at Universal?
Same time.
Same time.
Same time. And I remember Universal calling me because that was in 2009. I got the rights to Saw. So I teamed up with Lionsgate. They also had the rights to Saw to do a haunted house on Saw. They called me and they're like, how the hell did you get the rights to do that, Jason? We were doing that. And then they changed from that point on. They changed all their radius clauses now, so that would never happen
Right.
again. To where
Yeah.
they were doing it and I was doing it, and
Right.
and I was beating them in all the rankings on USA Today and stuff every year anyway, because we were scarier than Universal Studios. I mean, they put on a beautiful event, but
But it's for kids.
yeah, we were scarier, and that's what we really prided ourselves on, and we really did an amazing job with the actors, because your Halloween event is only as good as your worst actor. You can create the coolest sets in the world, but if you got a bunch of shitty actors, you've got nothing. So yeah, we teamed up with them. We lost that. We lost that after Phil Ruffin took over, and Phil's a great guy. I actually met with him. He came through one of our events.
What was the reason? First off, I don't think people realize to go from an abandoned warehouse to an MGM property
Is
is
insane.
So people in Vegas, outside Vegas, don't comprehend that. To get anything in Las Vegas, I tell people all the time, to place anything in a hotel is the hardest thing you will do on this earth of real estate. So for them to come and reach out to you, you must have created an amazing brand at that. And I mean, what were the terms? Did they just want a gross percentage of what you brought in? Did they make you lease it? Like, that's an impressive thing that I don't think people are really realizing.
Tell us the terms.
At
How much
20
money did you make on that bad
You
boy?
don't have to tell me, but
Cut right to the end, Colt. How much
Jason,
money did you
don't
make on
answer
that?
Do not answer them.
IRS, I got to deal with the IRS. I get sponsored by it.
$1 of net profit.
You are right, and people, when they meet with me, I can beat out big companies any day of the week, because they see my passion in these projects. They see that we go to the next level. They see how amazing we do. I mean, I'll beat out some of the biggest and best companies out there, with my little old tiny team. And, we will blow the doors off any event that we do. And that's what they saw. They saw the amount of effort that we put into our little warehouse event, the ballroom event. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. We come into Vegas and we just, do this killer haunted house.
What'd you make on the ballroom event the first year?
Oh, I think it was 250,000, 275,000. Not much.
Gosh.
I mean, not much.
Not much.
Yeah.
That's net or gross?
That was like gross back then, but it wasn't much to put on. But, Fright Dome over the years made millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, but it also cost, as anybody knows, millions upon millions to run as well. But the event was great. I mean, if I would have been as restricted as I was, if some of the old folks that were running the Adventure Dome, weren't as tight-assed over there and, would have listened to me, we could have changed the ticket price, because for one, the ticket price was too low. We were selling out every night. Yeah. I think our average ticket price was like $37, $38. My average ticket price at, an escape room right now is over $50.
Yeah.
So it's like I was giving 6 haunted houses, scare zones, rides, double loop roller coasters, all this stuff. So it's like, our pricing was off. We could have grossed an extra $1.5 million by just adjusting the price.
$69.95.
Knowing the elasticity of demand, right?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
still would have sold
knowing that these little $20,000 escape room builds are getting $45. I mean, it's insane. So we.
Well, dude, not only that, but look at Bruno Mars is clocking down like $650 a night just to see him play.
Thank you very
For a
much.
seat.
Adele.
I appreciate that.
Don't bring Adele.
Oh, boy.
That's a touchy subject. There's a bunch of people that came to town expecting to see her sing.
Whoops.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you go and cancel 24 hours? No, not. How's that, man?
Come
People
on, man.
flying across the
$6,000
world.
to go watch this lady sing.
Hang on.
Not
but
everybody.
But here's my
I'm not
question.
baller enough
What
for
do you
that.
do? What do you do if you're the secondary purchaser that bought the tickets for like $10,000 on the secondary market? And you really going to go back to the person that sold them to you and be like, I need a refund? They're not going to do that.
I mean, I don't know. No.
Who knows what happened?
That was a whole bad thing.
That was a bad thing.
It
It
was
was
bad,
bad.
and I don't like that she was making people go out. Not to get political or anything like that, but I don't like she was going out and making people get tested. So she was going to crowd up our testing sites, thousands and thousands of people, because they had to be vaxxed and a test and a negative test. I mean, Adele's great. She's amazing what she does. But let's be real. Don't come into our town and clog up our testing sites when people that really need to go get tested need to get there. And they don't want to wait 4 hours.
Not going to argue with that one.
She's no Neil Young. She is no Neil Young.
No, no, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Do you have issues with people like punching your actors? No, not dead serious, because like I won't go to them because I would punch
So
somebody.
at the Fright Dome, at the other one, maybe that was an issue, but not in these new attractions.
Well, let's okay. So
Very rarely.
But it's happened, right?
It happens, but when you take their weapons away at the beginning with metal detectors, and you're in a dark environment, you don't know, where necessarily you are in the middle of a haunted house. It's not smart to do. So it happens, but it happens very rarely, because we put all these preventative measures in place to prevent that from happening.
Right.
We don't allow them to do that, and they know they're about to lose their at the time $38 ticket, but should have been $69.
Should have been.
Should have been. Absolutely would have been $69, but
there's no touching either.
no, there's
No, but I'm just saying, people jump out you. Natural reaction.
I got punched 3 months ago at Saw. Because the labor crisis was so intense. I mean, so bad. I mean, we'll do whatever it takes so I do not have to close down any of my attractions.
Like, I'm in there.
I absolutely.
I'm open.
I dressed up as the pig, and I literally got punched by a guest. I went in too close to scare him.
See?
Got punched, but it didn't hurt. But I mean, I think I might have caught it. I took a punch pretty well. I'm like, this dude was huge, and I'm like, I'm really proud of myself.
Look, I was scared, man. I was scared.
And it was fine. He reacted. I'm not going to do anything. I wasn't hurt. It is what it is.
Did you hold character? Did you squeal when he punched you, or did you? It's like a pro. It's cool.
He apologized immediately, but no, actually, I was on the phone with Chris. I'm like, hey, I got an injury here. What can we do? But
sue the owner.
It happens. Damn it. It happens, but it probably happens in other people's places a lot more than.
All right, so back to Circus. You're undercutting yourself, but you're still doing amazingly well. Phil Ruffin comes in, says, thanks but no thanks. We're not continuing this.
It wasn't him that said it. So Phil's a great guy. We met after the fact. Phil would probably have us back there. It was MGM, and it was the head of Circus who didn't want to put the deal in place because they knew the property was for sale. So MGM killed the deal.
They didn't want anything dragging down the net.
Yeah, they killed the deal before it could even go.
Because they want the balance sheet as clean as humanly possible to trade the property.
If Phil would have known, Phil probably would have said, I want this as a part of the deal. But Phil didn't even know it existed.
But I got to believe it's Circus. I mean, how much revenue did that generate for the damn casino? It's had to be.
That's what I
it's got to be.
opposite
And they
way,
would never tell me. They would never. I'm like, I see the hotel numbers are going up, the occupancy rates are going up. I'm like, how can we quantify the gambling?
Yeah. How could any month be busier than that with that going on in there?
No, it was.
For some reason, October's through the roof, guys.
For some reason.
Circus.
Oh my God! And I didn't see it. There was a deal. I didn't make a great deal back then. Now I would know. I didn't see any of the food and beverage, the alcohol sales, and stuff like that. So I would make a completely different deal. I'm a totally different person now than I was, 20 years ago. Now I'm a better negotiator than this guy sitting next to me. So.
Do you have
pretty mean?
Do you have
pretty mean guy actually?
Do you have any interest in going back?
Oh, absolutely.
Because my kids are always like, "Oh, I wish Fright Dome was not there," but
yeah, absolutely. But it's not saying it's married to that location. The right location comes around, we will do something. It's not hard to put in rides. It's all about encompassing and having a whole night of terror. Your haunted houses, your scare zones, your rides. That can be done on another property and doing it right. I've had so many people try to come in and that don't have my motivation and don't know how to do it. And they just fail miserably. And we have people literally every day approach us about doing something. But
dude,
yeah,
I'll give you $1 billion idea right now. Horror EDC.
Pasquale's great.
There it is.
There you go.
do a terror EDC at the think about
the racetrack.
The racetrack. It's good weather because it's October. It's not 1,000,000 degrees. Throw some DJs out there with some scare stuff and the rides, and you're good.
I'm Pasquale. We'll do it. He's a great guy. He's puts on an amazing event too. But now I've learned. What I didn't know 20 years ago or 15 years ago is the art of saying no on certain projects now too. So, I was just taking on projects. I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool.
What did you say yes to? You wish you hadn't.
I did a project in Hong Kong on a mountaintop on top of a shopping mall. That was quite the project to do. You know what I mean? It was at the Victoria Peak in Hong Kong. On top of the Galleria Mall, and it was a fun project, but you get your typical investors or whatever it was that was like, we want to do 5 haunted houses. Oh, let's cut the budget now. Let's do 4 haunted houses. Oh, let's cut the budget. Let's do 3 haunted houses. Now let's go to 2 haunted houses. But you still want to charge the same ticket price. So they crushed. They didn't do it. They didn't put on a good event because the public wasn't happy about what they got. You can't charge the same dollar amount, $50. And tell everybody it's going to be 500 houses, but then they're like, oh, now there's 2. But I wouldn't have taken that project on, even though it was neat to go to Hong Kong, but I was on the plane every other week. Yeah, it was nice in Air Singapore Airlines with the suite and everything. Right. That's cool. That was my quiet time, but I wouldn't have taken that. It just, and I get requests every day. I got a pumpkin patch request yesterday and stuff. I just, it's not, it's what's the Paula Abdul song? 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I don't, I've done these things. I've put myself on the map. I've broken every record possible. I don't need to take on a project just to have my name on it.
And these aren't just Vegas projects anymore. You're all over the world.
I've done stuff in New York. I've consulted for Universal Studios, Busch Gardens. We've done, stuff everywhere. It's been a great journey. But now, like I said, with the IP projects that we're doing, with working with Saw and with working with Blair Witch, and we've got 3 others in the making, which I can't say, but
let's talk about that. So you transition out of, for lack of a better phrase, just because they transitioned out of you,
exactly.
selling your location. And so you're like, okay, what am I going to do now? I need something that you probably want to control more.
100%.
That is not just open 1 month out of the year.
Yep.
And is more controllable. So
and they don't have to tear down.
Yeah,
I don't have to tear it down, because there's nothing worse than putting that up and then having to tear it down. I mean, that's upsetting. You've just created something amazing, and 19 days down the road, you're tearing it down.
Yeah. So walk me through that process of thinking you want to do this to getting it open.
You mean Saw?
Yeah, because that's the first one, yes?
So Saw's the first IP after Fright Dome. So Saw was the first one we approached, and I had already worked with Lionsgate back in 2009 because we did a Saw-themed haunted house in 2009.
So how did that meeting come about? How did you approach that?
And like you guys had said, it's not easy. You don't find studio executives' email addresses on the web. They're non-existent, and they have layers of assistants in place to prevent the average Joe from calling them. So at the time,
I got this movie.
Oh my God!
No. It's gonna be it's Godfather,
gonna be
in
the
space. Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly, and that's what they don't want. But they're great people. Don't get me wrong. Now we talk to Lionsgate literally every single day, but so we approached them in 2009. We went to our radio station partner, Kemp Broadcasting. Will Kemp, I think, owns a law firm here in town.
Kemp Clifford.
So he owns Kemp Broadcasting. So they had an in. They were doing a special with Saw the year prior to promote the movie, and I'm like, hey, can you have any kind of in? They went through the marketing department, then they got us through the location-based entertainment department, and we got a meeting. And then they
let's because you're brushing over you brushed over that pretty quick, and I think that's a key piece of information for anybody that wants to license IP, because I think a lot of people just tend to bang their head against the closed door. Without looking for somebody like, oh, here's the guy that washes the windows, that looks through the windows right at the meet where they sit every single day. Let me talk to that guy and see if he can get me around on the window washing unit.
I'll tell you a quick story real quick. My buddy became friends with Warren Buffett. Stays at his house in Omaha when we go to Berkshire Hathaway every year. When he was the richest man on earth. Started off because he adopted a dog from his security guard that he met at Dick's Barbecue or something in Omaha. Really? He literally became friends with the security guard. Security guard had a dog for sale, and then like one of his people, and the dogs lived there. And so Buffett's wife, when you meet someone through dogs, you're friends immediately.
Dude,
you can't always call up Warren Buffett. Sometimes you got to make friends.
You got to find, you've got to. This is where like your network is your net worth, right? Because 100%. Just like you said, I mean, there's nothing harder. I've worked in the Hollywood, LA scene for a little bit. There's nothing harder to get through to those people. Right. They have gatekeepers after gatekeepers after gatekeepers.
Literally 3 assistants.
Same with MGM,
WME, a great company, now Endeavor.
Yeah, Endeavor.
Literally they'll have 3 assistants. One agent will have 3 assistants before you even get to the agent. I mean, that's how hard it is to get to them. But
gatekeeper.
Yep. But yeah, so you mentioned that, it's hard. It was. I think where people fail with it too is when we go in and present something to a studio, we give it 110%. And I don't know where I learned this from, but I want to go into that meeting knowing that I gave it our all, that we showed everything we possibly could, put the best presentation possible ever we could put together, versus some people coming in with a Word doc and setting it on their Word document, sitting on their desk and thinking that's actually going to work. Right. It's not going to work, and that's what, you got to put your best foot forward, because then at least we knew we did everything we could that, to attempt to get that job. And, if they say no, we know we did our best.
Well, I think also when you're dealing with intellectual property of somebody that is owned of something, a franchise like Saw, they've got to believe that you're going to treat it
you can really
as well or better than they would. I mean, you've got to show them a vision that they're going to look at and say, man, this is just an exceptional opportunity, and these guys have proven themselves to do this. And I think also I would say the reason that you got the opportunity was because you proved that you could run with the ball in that arena before you just grabbed it. Like if you just come off the street and said, I got this great idea, I want to do a haunted house with Saw, they would have been like, who are you? No, but you were like, I'm the haunted house guy. I think I can take both of our brands to the next level by combining them.
And again, showing up to that meeting with a pitch deck that's like, wow.
I'm assuming you had art and everything done on this thing.
Absolutely, and that's what people don't understand too. Like one of our current studio projects, which I can't say what it is, but sometimes it can cost us $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 before we even get the job.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't get. And they're like, oh my God, you did all these renderings, 3D models, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, of course we did, because it's worth it, because, you know, our batting average is damn good. He knows with these projects, our batting average is really, really good. And, you know, we're friends with multiple studios now. And, you know, we can get them on the phone now. And what used to be hard back in 2009, now it's like, okay, yeah, you want to call Sony? Yeah, absolutely. Let's call Sony and see what they got. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. But again, we go in, and I'm shocked with some of the other promoters all over the world, big, bad promoters and amazing promoters and producers. And I'm like, you want me to show the studio this? Like, what is this?
What are you
know
talking
what I mean?
about?
Like, literally, they've done this in like the clip art program, and I'm like, this is gonna be this.
Son, it's the guy.
It's the guy.
I will
Guys,
send you a
the
full
GIF.
blown 3D walkthrough
Of
of
the
what
whole
this is
9
going to
yards.
be before we even get the deal, and that's what you have to do.
Let's talk more about that when we come back from the break. We'll be back with Jason from just everything, the Saw escape rooms, the whole 9 yards. I want to hear a little. I'm going to get some of the new projects out of them. Probably not. But
Probably not.
we'll be back in a minute. Hey, it's John Gafford. If you want to catch up more and see what we're doing, you can always go to thejohngafford.com.
You guys got to
We'll
see
share any
that.
links that we talked about on the show, as well as links to the YouTube where you can watch us live. And if you want to catch up with me on Instagram, you can always follow me at thejohngafford. I'm here. Give me a shout.
NBA's ads go on.